This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. It is 10:30, so we will get started with the August Isicsb board meeting. Holly, will you please call roll? And members, if you would introduce yourself, as well as including the discipline in which you represent on the board.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. Mindy Benson,
Mindy Benson present with Blackhawk County Emergency Management representing Iowa Emergency Managers.
Michelle Bishop,
Yes, Michelle Bischoff with the City of Des Moines Fire representing fire departments.
Curtis Wooten,
President, representing EMS.
David Ness,
Good morning from Des Moines Police, representing police departments.
and Jeff Vandewater.
President, the Adair County Sheriff, representing Sheriff's Office.
And that makes up our quorum for 5 people.
Excuse me, thank you. For welcoming remarks, I would just like to welcome everyone to the meeting, as well as happy opening day of the 2024 State Fair. Thank you all for your patience as we have worked through the restructuring of this board. It's taken some time, so we appreciate your patience. We are waiting word from the governor's office for 2 additional positions, Communications Center and at large. I received my official notice of reappointment this week, so we are hopeful that in September we'll have a fully appointed board. In the meantime, we are very grateful to Travis Solom and Patrick Updike, who have continued leading the committees that they previously chaired. So grateful for their efforts in keeping the committees moving. On today's agenda, there is one amendment. It's item 16B is being withdrawn. The person was unable to attend, and we will also represent all award or credential certification recipients that are in the room. Are there any other amendments?
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Thank you. In a second?
Benson will second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to approval of the minutes from the June 13th meeting.
Benson makes a motion to approve those minutes.
In a second?
Ness.
All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That brings us to the SWIC report. SWIC Nichols.
Thanks, Chair Bischoff. Because we missed our July meeting, I'd like to go back in time a little bit and talk just quickly about the Story County complex that happened over 2 days in June. 14 trainees were participants each day. Some were repeat trainees, so a total of 20 trainees completed work on 28 position task books, and I believe that 26 books were completed fully. This was an amazing outpouring of support from Story County for resources and personnel, and then volunteers from across the state and CISA, so across the nation actually, for the day for our evaluators and SimCell personnel. This event was highly successful because of all that dedication by the people who showed up, but also by the agencies who allowed and supported their personnel to take the time to put towards this extracurricular activities outside of regular daily duties. 2 days later, many of these same people were deployed to the actual disaster of the flooding in Spencer, Iowa. and showed the importance of this training and of the resources that we hold here in Iowa. If you have any questions on that deployment, I would encourage you to reach out to Luke Erpelding and the DPS staff, Storm Lake Radio specifically, who gave a great presentation at MTUG last month. They have a slide presentation and can tell you the whole timeline of that event that lasted for over 3 weeks. And then later in today's meeting and in subsequent meetings, we will have the opportunity to credential COMU personnel because of Iowa's ability to hold these exercises like the one that was held in Story County. So thank you to everybody who participated. Central States ComEx is happening in Joplin, Missouri, September 10th through the 13th. Just a reminder, so I will be out of the state at the time that does fall on our next Isicsb board meeting. So you will see Deputy Swift-Walser giving the SWIC report next month and probably handing out more credentialed personnel next month. If you have any updates or information for him, please let us know beforehand. The SCIP update is still in the works, but we're very close, so we'll probably see a finalized document, I would guess, at the September event. Another update, proud to announce that Nick Brasenio of Story County Dispatch Commander completed an instructional presentation and evaluation skills through Wisconsin's emergency management training. This is his final prerequisite as he is working toward becoming a COMEL train the trainer for our state and helping to build Iowa's independence toward holding state-sponsored COMU offerings, which I think is very important for us. The partnership we have with our bordering states to allow those relationships, which is helping to be built by ECC Myers and others, make this possible. So Nick will travel to get that train the trainer training outside of our state, and also comm manager Roberts is planning to do a virtual train the trainer, just for your awareness, working hard so that we can hopefully have some more opportunities to hold classes here in Iowa. The State Fair starts today. We have our booth set up in the Hall of Law. That's the Interoperability Bureau. So tell your friends to stop by, learn about the system and the radio platform that we have, and spin the wheel to get a rubber duck. And then I just returned from National APCO in Florida. That was a really great opportunity. I saw quite a number of different trainings and seminars and took a lot away that I can help share with the group and in different conversations. So I hope to do that over the next couple weeks in different settings, and I am sure to do that. And then just a reminder that planning continues for a tri-state communications exercise that we will be holding with Illinois and Wisconsin, and I'm very excited about. That is in 2025. There is a tabletop plan for June 2025 and a functional exercise in September of 2025 that will be held in Dubuque. There is a link floating out there for interested parties to get signed up to get more information on that. And if you are interested, please reach out to me and I can get you on that mailing list. That's all I have for the group unless there are questions for me.
Great. Thank you, Haley. I greatly appreciate your report and all the work that you do for the state of Iowa. I do want to go back to roll call and introductions. We neglected to roll call the legislative members, and I'd like to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. Are there any legislative members on the call? I know Ross Wilburn is on, and I appreciate you being here, sir.
Absolutely. Russ Wilburn, representative up in Ames. We've got elections this fall. I'm unopposed, so I will presumably beat out Snoopy or Charlie Brown or Bart Simpson. And my assumptions, I'll continue on with this group. Thanks for all your work, everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you for your commitment to this group and representing the state. Are there any other legislative members on? Great, thank you. We'll resume our agenda at item 7 on the 911 Council Report. Program Manager Darushi.
I don't see Blake on.
Okay, and he's not present in the room.
No.
Okay, very well. We'll move on. Thank you. User Group Committee, Chair Vandewater.
I'll take that, Chair Bischoff.
Okay.
Just for the group, Chair Hess has sit down and Chair Vandewater has just recently taken over that committee, so he has not actually chaired an active meeting yet. And in June, we had a meeting where 4 applications were reviewed, and you'll see those in the new business. And in July, there were no new applications, so no meeting was held.
Very well. Thank you. Are there any questions for the user group? Hearing none, that brings us to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee did meet asynchronously this week and reviewed the financials for the board. Being that the fiscal year just turned over, the reports look a little, I guess all the money from fiscal year 24 has not yet been transferred to fiscal year 25, so it's difficult to get a cash balance. We'll have that for you at next meeting. All of the expenses, however, are in line with what they have been in previous months. Are there any questions regarding the financial statement that you received in your packets? Very well. That brings us to the Governance Committee. Chair Ness.
Thank you, Chair. We've met a couple times since our last report and are working through updating old policies. Have referred a couple on to other groups and do not have anything to present at this time, but we continue to make progress in that important task.
Very well. Thank you for your efforts. Are there any questions for the Governance Committee? Hearing none, that brings us to Operations. Swick-Nichols.
Yes, thank you very much. So the public comment period did end, and we did receive 2 comments on the medical talk group standard. And after discussion on that, it was determined that there needed to be some language added to that standard. So it is being reworked, and that's being done through Operations, who hasn't yet had an opportunity to meet. They'll meet because I was out of town and because of the lack of a chair for that committee at this point. We'll meet next Wednesday at the same time. And so through the REM CBP grant and Operations, we're still working on that standard.
Fantastic. Lots of great work coming out of Operations, and they're in a bit of a tough spot having being without a chair, and we're working to resolve that. Are there any questions for Operations? Training and Outreach Committee, being led by Travis Solom. He is unable to attend today's meeting due to some technical difficulties they're experiencing in their communication center. So Swick-Nichols, can you pinch hit for Travis, please?
Sure, absolutely. So the training committee has been doing lots of good continued work also. There's nothing agenda-wise, but they've been working on some white papers and also looking at the COMU procedures and taking a look at maybe making some updates and changes to that, and the work continues.
Very well. Are there any questions for training and outreach? Technology Committee being led by Patrick Updike.
Good morning. Thanks.
Morning.
So since the last Isicsb meeting, the Technology Committee has met on June 27th, July 2nd, and July 25th. We continue to work on standard 2.4.1, which is addressing bidirectional amplifiers. We've added some wording to this standard. I think the big goal and the main thing of this standard is to get people who are using both Class A and Class B amplifiers to register them with the NOC in the state of Iowa, because then that way a database can be built to track that, or at least keep an inventory of it, so that if there's a problem, it can be easily identified. It also states in there that as a Class B amplifier owner, you have to register that with the FCC. You don't have a choice. We don't dictate that. That's just the way it is. So, but for the state of Iowa, for the good of Iowa, we're looking in this standard to have everybody register both Class A and Class B. We've kicked this standard around for quite a while, and we decided we didn't want to add too much technical information to it at this time, and so we're going to hand it over to operations, because it felt like we needed to get another set of eyes on this and let them tear it apart, pick it apart, and then if it has to come back to technology, then so be it. So that's where it's at. It's going to operations. We'll let them take a look at it and then move forward. So that's it for right now.
Excellent. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks.
Are there any questions for the technology group? That brings us to the FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee. Chair Benson.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Bischoff. The FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee, we will be actually meeting next Tuesday on August 13th. During last month's committee, we did not have any actual items to work on, but however, we did discuss with Brian Blodgett, who's on FirstNet, if there are ways that we could assist on bringing that site into the spotlight and bring additional members who would be interested into that realm of working with him or bringing them into or getting them onto that network. So we had a great discussion on how to bring them forward, how can we spotlight that website, how can we bring those two together to collaborate better and get everybody on board with that. So in the coming weeks and months, we're going to be working on spotlighting that in the Isicsb newsletter. So look for more items on that. And we're going to continue to work with Brian on ways to bring that website into the forefront. But other than that, we'll have further briefings from our AT&T partners a little later on that in the meeting. So, and just one last note, if anybody's interested in joining our committee, please reach out to myself or Holly to get your name added to the distribution list. We always look forward to having more bright minds to help us through that committee. And that's all I have. So I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Great. Thank you, Mindy. Our next item is other reports and information sharing amongst board members. Do any board members have information that they would like to share with the rest of the board?
Well, just quick opinion here from one board member to our shrinking numbers. I really appreciate the people that have been willing to stay on the board, and perhaps more importantly, those that are willing to stay on committees, even though they don't have a formal seat due to the legislation and the new new law. So we've got important work that needs to continue, and for the leadership of Isicsb, appreciate your flexibility and willingness, and for everybody else, it still requires a lot of hands to get this work done. So thanks to everybody.
Great, thank you, Major Ness. Are there any other items to be shared? Okay, we'll move on to the Isicsb System Administrator Report. Scott Richardson.
Scott's working the fair, but I don't have numbers.
Right, whomever can give that report.
All I've got is the numbers for him today. So, Isicsb numbers, radios on the system are 39,027. Talk groups are 3,309. And push to talks for July were 3,126,159.
Very well. Are there any questions for our sysadmins? Next up is the FirstNet Authority, Tom Lampy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, sir.
Okay. My report this month is we have starting to offer operational workshops. It started in July. And an operational workshop is what the federal agencies like FirstNet can offer for like floods, tornadoes, on all the communication abilities. So we offer that. So you need to go to, if you are interested in having one, anybody can have one, public safety driven. Go to firstnet.gov to request one, or just email me direct and we'll get that set up for you. Now there's also coverage workshops in addition to that coming in the future when we get our information, so we can get that to you. But during the operational workshop, there's nothing prohibits anybody from during the workshop saying we can talk about coverage in their areas as well. So that's happening. We had a very successful 5x5 in Chicago, over and above what we expected for participants. I believe few of you were there. We have surpassed 6 million connections across the country now, which is incredible for the amount of time we've been in service to you for public safety. One other thing I'd like to say is September 25th of this year, mark your calendars, the authority is going to be, along with our partner AT&T, are going to be bringing in some equipment for what we call a rapid operations group, response operations group, sorry, which we call ROGs. And those are the people that go out and put the Colts up and for coverage needs if a site goes down. We have lots of equipment, including the Colt. We have what they call a mini CRD will be there, which is the suitcase version, and then a CRD, which is the size of a pallet. And what we're going to demonstrate is how you use the wireless FirstNet service for 911 connection, and how the DRV vehicle uses that. It's also a good demonstration, so how that actually works and with the FirstNet network. So we'll have probably a couple hours of classroom, and then we'll go out into the parking lot. Now, one thing I do not have is a location yet. We're still trying to lock that down. So when I do get one, I'll push it out to as many as we can through Ms. Wick-Nichols. Maybe can help with that, or Chair Benson on your distro lists on that. Reminder of we announced here a while back that we're spending $6 billion over the next 10 years and deploying thousands of new FirstNet cell sites in the next few years. So more information on that will be coming, but we also will be enhancing and making sure that band 14 is enhanced and on the sites. So we'll keep giving you information. I'll push a lot of that to the broadband committee, and we'll really drill down on these workshops and in more detail. But that's a high-level overview for you from the authority standpoint, and I'll take any questions.
Great, thank you, Tom. Are there any questions for the authority? is there anyone on the call for, excuse me, for AT&T? I don't see Tyler.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, very well. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. I have a fairly short report. I think Tom covered the majority of what we've been working on recently. However, I did want to share a quick recap on our results from our interoperability that we did between DPS and Care Ambulance for the RAGBRAI response efforts. So as we discussed in our last call, last month we worked on an effort to get a ROID gateway hardware demo setup available for DPS and to coordinate between their efforts and Care Ambulance, which typically follows the RAGBRAI route. In years past, it's always been a little bit of an issue for interoperability. Typically, sharing of radios is really the only method DPS has available to them to enable that communication between the two entities. In this case, we were able to, since Care Ambulance is already a FirstNet rapid response customer and had LTE radios for their day-to-day operations, we were able to bridge those two environments together using a radio over IP environment that enabled the two groups to talk and interoperate on IATAC-6. So that was a very eye-opening operation. It allowed us to see kind of how that interoperability could function. It also helped us to point out, obviously DPS is fairly aware of the areas where they do and don't have coverage, but it allowed us to be able to see where complementary coverage could be achieved. And one of those locations was found essentially between Eddyville and Ottumwa, a known Isicsb radio coverage gap. However, we were able to provide FirstNet coverage and help with a few calls, with rider injuries and those sort of things to better coordinate between those two entities. Apart from driving to a separate location and communicating, this is really the only method of getting that coverage where we need it. So it was nice to see that response take place, and we're still waiting for the full detail on that after action. But from the sounds of it, it worked successfully and as we'd expect. There was also a cache of devices we were able to pull together, which is an emergency response kit of 20 devices that we typically hand out, in disaster recovery scenarios where an entity might not have FirstNet access. And so we can quickly provide these devices with FirstNet rapid response enabled on them. So there's no sharing of numbers or anything like that. They're essentially a cache of radios operating off of the LTE network. So we were able to provide those to Care Ambulance and hand those out to local entities that don't have FirstNet access or haven't engaged FirstNet and provide that communication. So overall, it seemed like that effort was a success. But obviously, we're still waiting for the after action review to know the full detail. But that's the only piece I had for an update, and I'll take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. Are there any questions for Tyler and AT&T? That brings us to CISA and Chris Myers.
Yes, thank you, Chair Bischoff. Good morning, Board. Appreciate the time, as always. We have a little bit of a new thing to talk about today with respect to entity cybersecurity notifications. And for that, I have our cybersecurity advisor and cyber state coordinator, Jim Hoffman, on the line with us today. Jim, the floor is yours. Please let the board know about the CISA entity notifications and the other materials you have for them today. Jim, if you're talking, I think just
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chris. I wanted to talk a little bit about CISA entity notifications. My name is Jim Hoffling. Like Chris said, I actually live here in Iowa. We're one of two cybersecurity advisors in the state of Iowa. The other one is a guy named Chad Roberts out in Dubuque. According to in accordance with the CIRCIA Act of 2022, CISA has a duty to warn if we find out through dark web monitoring or seeing beaconing over the internet, we have a duty to warn organizations that they are either being hit or about to be hit, or they have a critical vulnerability that we know is being exploited in the wild and they are at risk. When we get this information, we will pick up the phone and call the affected organization. That is a bit problematic sometimes because we don't always know who to call at a particular organization. That information is generally not available over the website, which means that it can take time for us to get a hold of you, and that is time is very critical in this type of environment. When we do make a notification, we give you all the key information that we have. We can tell you which device, we can tell you what the vulnerability is or what's being attacked. We can give you IP addresses, everything. We are only giving you information. We're not trying to get any information back or try to figure it out. If you get a notification from us, if either Shad or I or Chris or anyone calls you, please take the call. It can be a very uncomfortable cold call environment when I have to, when someone answers the phone and I say, hi, I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. You have a vulnerability and I cannot send you the information to your organizational email address because we don't want the bad actors to know that we know about it. So please give me your personal email. This can lead to a lot of people just hanging up the phone, which is understandable. That's what we're kind of trained to do. However, if you get a call from us, please take it. My contact information is at the back. If you get a call like this, please understand that you can verify this by just saying, hey, we want to verify you are who you say you are. We will give you a entity notification number. You call the number on the screen, or you go ahead and go to our website, CISA.gov, and that same number is there. If you can establish an out-of-band email address in advance or some other type of out-of-band communication that does not involve your organization name, such as Evertel or whatever it is, please have that available so that we can send you the information as quickly as possible. I would certainly appreciate it to make both of our lives much easier. Next slide, please. I also wanted to foot stomp a little bit a lot of the free services that we offer. Now, when I say free, they are paid for by your taxes, and I deeply appreciate that. We are more than willing to come to your organization, do cybersecurity assessments. We can do training and awareness seminars. We have workshops to help you with your incident response plans. We have technical services. We can remotely scan your external IP addresses to look for vulnerabilities. We can do tabletop exercises. There are a ton of things that we can do to help you better secure yourself from a cybersecurity perspective and increase your cyber resilience. Pending any questions, that's all I have, Chair Chris.
All right, thank you, Jim. We'll have time for questions at the end of this. On the next slide, we'll talk really quickly about some of the remaining material we have for the board today. In early June, the new SAFECOM grant guidance was released. This is an annual update from CISA that talks about relevant information on policies for equipment purchases through DHS grant funds, which includes eligible costs, compliance with technical standards, and general best practices for emergency communications projects. All entities are highly encouraged to follow the recommendations put forth within that document, as the document is designed to help ensure that communications remain interoperable as agencies buy new equipment. The key thing here is that grant recipients using DHS and FEMA funds for communications activities must comply with this guidance. This guidance is available for download from our website, or if you do not have a copy of it, you can get in touch with me directly, and I'll get you the most recent version. On the next slide, new document was just published as well. It's called Considerations for Public Safety Cloud Adoption. Cloud computing presents a lot of advantages in the fact that you have a lot of computing power available to you, but you are also using someone else's equipment. And this document highlights considerations that may need to be taken by public safety organizations, since they're a little bit unique in the types of data that they handle and the type of data that they have to use and rely on. This document attempts to sanitize and boil down to its basic elements what agencies may need to consider when it comes to public safety cloud adoption. It helps agencies define needs and scopes, requirements, and also a questionnaire to try to solicit information from these types of providers. The big one is, if I use you as my cloud provider, what happens to my data when it gets uploaded to your servers? This is available for download from our website, and if you don't have a copy of it, you can also reach out to me directly, and I will get you a copy. It's Pretty concise read. It's got a lot of good information in there, and it's designed to help agencies safely navigate the new environment that we're in with cloud computing. On the next slide, CISA has undertaken an initiative called School Safety Month. Basically, almost daily now, our social media web pages, whether it's on Facebook or X or Twitter, is outputting new resources, tools, and also information on stakeholder events designed to bring forth school safety to the minds of those that are out there. August is the time where students in Iowa go back to school after the state fair concludes, and all this messaging is designed to enhance security measures and build resilience against various threats and hazards that have been observed in a K-12 environment. The topics will also cover cybersecurity, physical security assessments, and other types of assistances that may be available to schools. You can search this and find it on our website at CISA.gov, and of course, schoolsafety.gov is always a great standby as well for more information. On the next slide, this is a little bit more of an expansive document, but this document talks about the software acquisition process and applies it specifically to government enterprise consumers. In government, we have to think about software a little bit differently when we acquire systems. As an example, cyber attacks that are exploited against government systems tend to have a high level of consequence when it comes to the type of information that is leaked or compromised or stolen. This covers multiple things with respect to the software that may be acquired and also the supply chains that are used to update and distribute that software. The document is designed to create some sort of navigational document for agencies to use that boils a lot of the more complex concepts down into something that's a little bit more clear and concise. And it covers all types of software, including commercial, open source, contracted, cloud-based solutions, and other types of things that may be available for use within government. This is a joint document as well that was outputted by several agencies in partnership. It is also available for download on our website. Next slide is a new postcard series that we have released as of last week. It is called Connected Communities. Risk Postcard Series. This postcard series is designed to convey cybersecurity best practices for smart cities and looks at 3 key risks for connected communities. It includes appropriate mitigation strategies and recommendations, and as of now, it focuses on the expanded and interconnected attack surface that we have within smart cities. New features, new capabilities will sometimes bring forth new holes and vulnerabilities that need to be understood, and in some cases mitigated or eradicated. This postcard series is designed to do that. It talks about the software supply chain and vendors and things to keep in mind with your smart and connected cities. And it also talks about how automation of operations can be beneficial when it comes to efficiencies within government, but two, that also brings forth new considerations when it comes to cybersecurity and ensuring that operations are secure. This is available on our website as well. You can search for it via your favorite search engine, or you can ask for it directly from me and I will get you a copy. Finally, new products that come out, not necessarily from CISA, but from the Department of Commerce. Recently, the Department of Commerce published a ruling against Kaspersky products via final determination case. You can search for this IC-TS-2021-002. What this essentially does is it prohibits, due to security concerns, Kaspersky products from government and private consumers in the U.S. The reason for that is a cybersecurity threat that a Russian software company would bring to U.S. operations. You can find this also published in the Federal Register via the link there. This is designed also to kind of highlight and complement another product that's been out there by the FCC for several years. That is outline device and software suppliers that are not compliant with the Secure Networks Act. That is available for download as well from our website, and basically this is a who's who list of who to avoid when it comes to entities or agencies or applications you may want to introduce into your environments. Finally, regional news of note, you heard Swick and Nichols mention the Central States COMEX in the Joplin-Quapaw area that's happening in mid-September. One other item of note for the group on top of the other work that the board is doing is that we have scheduled the interoperability markers update meeting for tomorrow at 1100 Central. This is that yearly assessment where we sit down with you as an interoperability group and figure out where you are on your interoperable journey. That is my report for the day, Chair Bishop. Go ahead and take any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Much valuable and organizational security-centric information shared. greatly appreciated. Are there any questions for SZA? Is there any old business? That brings us to new business and new Isicsb user approval. Chair Vandewater, or is Swick-Nichols taking this item?
So prior to my appointment as chair of the users group reviewed 4 applications. The CN Railroads Police at a level 2, the Des Moines County Sheriff's Office, an updated application for a level 3, Hardin County Sheriff's Office with an updated application at a level 3, and then the Moulton Udell Community School District at level 2. They were passed, reviewed by the users group, and therefore I would now recommend that the board approve 4 applications on the agenda today.
Great. Is there a second to Chair Vandewater's motion?
Benson will make that second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the users as listed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to 16C. And for C, D, E, F, and G, I'm going to turn it over to Swick-Nichols as she's present, present in the room to award these credentials to the individuals that are present. And congratulations to you all.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think we have these in alphabetical order. So the first person I'll call up is Liam. And we have 2 credentials. Liam is here for both his INTD and COM-L. Here, please, we'll have a picture with Holly. Here's his INTD. And COM-L, we'll get a picture of both. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Out of Westcom, INTD. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Ernest Pettit. Ernest, credentialed in COM-T, Osceola P. Congratulations. Jacob Reineke, INTD and COM-L both. Congratulations. You can just say Peg, that's good. COM-L. Anybody else? Okay, very good. Thank you to all, again, and your agencies that supported you in all those endeavors. And we'll have more in the next couple of meetings. Thank you, Chair Bishop.
Very well. Congratulations to all of you and your dedication to continuing to learn within your chosen field and being an asset to the interoperability within Iowa. Much appreciated. That brings us to public comment. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I'd like to thank all of you for attending our meeting and continuing to participate. If there are any members that would like to join our committees, we are always eager to have new faces in the committee process. That's really where the work of interoperability of this board happens, is at the committee level. So we'd encourage you to join. And again, I'd like to thank Representative Russ Wilburn for his support for this group, as well as attending our meeting today. So much appreciated, sir. And with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Mandy West, second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We sit adjourned. Thank you very much.